this election was a ghetto, ratchet, hot ass mess on a platter. It is absolutely ridiculous how the election is over and our president is still behaving the way he is. I don't care if you are a Democrat, if you are a Republican, if you are independent. I don't care what your party affiliation is. Every American citizen should be absolutely embarrassed by the behavior of our president. The one of many reasons why this election was record breaking, one of the many reasons why so many people came out to vote, one of the many reasons why this is the first president in the past 30 years who will only serve one term is because most of us Americans are fed up with witnessing his tantrums. In all of the years that Trump has been living, it's absolutely ridiculous that he still has not mastered being a grown ass man. It is absolutely ridiculous that he still have not mastered being an adult. And it's absolutely embarrassing. And it's terrifying that someone with this type of temperament is the person who is in charge of this country and is the person who ultimately has your life in his hands. And it's disappointing for me and other people because although I did not vote for Trump in 2016, although I always was a little weary about Trump for the simple fact that he's a racist and he's a sexist and he's proud of it, I also felt like, you know what? He's not my president, but I'm going to give him a chance because some of his ideas actually make a little sense. So Trump fully had the chance to be an amazing president. He had the chance to be great. But instead of him being a president for the people, and when I say people, I'm talking about all people. I'm not talking about African Americans. I'm not talking about just Hispanics. I'm not talking about just Caucasians. I'm not talking about just Asians. I'm talking about instead of him being a president for all of us, he chose to lead his presidency off of hate. And he chose to belittle and water down minorities. And although racism will always unfortunately be a part of our life, the outcome of this election has shown that we are at a place in life and in history where America is choosing humanity over racism. I don't believe every Trump supporter is racist, but I do believe every Trump supporter is comfortable with racism, and that's a huge problem. And what's a bigger issue is that, or let me say it's more of a shocking issue, is that racist America isn't the only people who voted for Trump. A lot of minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, etc., 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 all voted for him. And one of the many reasons why they voted for him is because they are closed-eyed to racism. They don't pay attention to racism. They don't acknowledge racism because it doesn't affect them directly. And that's a problem. And I think one of the ways we can help that problem is if we start talking about racism more, but talking about it from a place of love and a place of wanting to heal from it. That way, everybody can understand it better. Because whether you want to admit it or not, racism is no different than any other topic. If it doesn't affect you personally, a lot of people pay no attention to it, and that's part of the problem. I wanted to do this video. I'm sorry I got off track, but I'm just in such disbelief at how the president of the United States of America is behaving. He's a child. He truly is a child stuck in a grown, extra grown ass man's body. But whatever. I was having a conversation with someone Monday in a Facebook group who voted for Trump. They're a minority, and it was a great conversation. It was no fighting or anything like that, but they just really wanted to know why people did not vote for Trump, because they didn't feel like Trump was racist or sexist because it don't affect them directly. So I wrote my opinion down, and I wrote it down because I didn't want to get off track like I just did. But if you voted for him, it's nothing against you. I don't hate you. I hope you don't hate me. I think it's a situation of everyone being okay with understanding that everyone has different opinions. And if you are okay with racism, then you can't be okay with me. That's just how I personally feel about it, because this skin ain't going anywhere. And what a lot of people, mainly racist America, more so Donald Trump, need to understand is that we did not choose this skin. We did not choose this beautiful brown hint. This skin chose us. So stop penalizing us for something we didn't decide on, something we can't change. And honestly, if we could change, how many of us really would? So one of 6 issues I have with Trump is, as I was just speaking of, he supports racism, and he's even gone as far as encourage it. He is totally for white supremacy groups, and that is something that I can't get with. And I feel like if you are white and you have black friends, or you have Mexican friends, I think this is the time you guys should have open conversations about racism and how racism feels. And maybe you can get an understanding of where they're coming from, and they can try to understand your part, because it's easy to assume that someone hates you when no questions is asked. So that's one of my reasons. The second reason is I will never forget how he separated children from their parents and he put them in fucking cages. It's absolutely ridiculous to me that this man is treating children as animals, worse than animals. And it's crazy to me because I know so many pet owners who treat their children just like they treat their children. They treat their children as if they treat the animals as if they were their children. But when it comes to this, people don't feel like it's anything wrong with it. I think it's going to be absolutely impossible for Biden or anyone else to be able to get all of those children back with their parents. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Most of us don't even treat animals like that. Like I said, I know many people with dogs. They don't even own cages because the dog is a part of the family. The dog has bed, the dog has seating. It's no fucking cages. So I cannot comprehend how anybody is perfectly okay with this president putting children in fucking cages. And it makes me angry because I'm someone who will give anything to have more children, and I can't. And every time I turn on the news, I have to see, hear, or remember how this president just threw innocent children in fucking cages and separated them from their families. Some of their parents are deceased. Some of their parents is back in their country. It's no way in hell all of those children will be able to be reunited with their parents. And that's absolutely disgusting. And it's even more disgusting that people is okay that the president did that. That's a problem. My third issue with him is he intentionally chose to ignore the worst pandemic that America has seen in maybe 50 to 100 fucking years. 250,000 Americans has died due to COVID because our president of the United States felt it was a fucking hoax. Our president of the United States treated this pandemic, this illness, this medical killer as a fucking joke. 250,000 people have died because our president did not think it was serious. Had he took action when he was first made aware of it, we may be at a better place today. But here it is, November 10th. And here in the state of Maryland, they done put us back to phase 1. And I guarantee you, we will be back on complete lockdown by January. Why? Because our numbers are increasing. We in the DMV, the Maryland, DC, and Virginia areas are averaging 1,000 new cases a fucking day. A day. All of this could have been avoided. And if it couldn't be completely avoided, we could have had better options for it. Something more could have been done. But you know one of the things that I don't respect him for? Obama had an entire department for pandemics because they knew of it. So they started to do the research, everything. Trump was so fixated on undoing everything that a black president did that he demolished that entire department. Had he not did that, when the pandemic finally happened, he would have been able to go to that department and say, hey, what do we need to do? What's the game plan? And that department would have had something. But instead, everything happened so last minute. And here it is, 7 months into the pandemic? People still out of work. People have started to get evicted from their homes. People are not getting their unemployment. People are teleworking. Life is not the same. All because the president of the United States thought this shit was a fucking joke. And it's crazy because people who haven't been affected by it, they take it as a joke too because the president took it as a joke. Let me tell you something. Going into my office after being out of my office for months and reading emails telling us that this person has passed away because of COVID, people that you respected, people that you loved are now gone and you can't go pay your respects, that's when it'll become real to you. That's why so many of us is angry. I have friends that's had it. I've lost friends. I've lost co-workers. It's absolutely ridiculous, and he should be disgusted by that. So that's number 3. Number 4. Again, as far as the pandemic, the president of the United States, who is the leader of this country, who ultimately, if you really want to be honest, is the leader of the fucking world. Let's keep it 100. Promoted not wearing a mask. And in my opinion, I don't even feel like he got COVID. I think he claimed he had COVID as a ploy to get sympathy from the American people in a way to try to guarantee a vote, and it did not work. He had COVID. He was the fastest person to be cured from COVID ever. Everybody I know that has caught COVID has been in the hospital at a minimum of 4 weeks. They've been in quarantine for about 2 months. They have respiratory issues, lingering issues. But all of a sudden, this man announced he had COVID, let's say hypothetically on a Tuesday, and he was cured by Friday. Shut up. Stop it. Cut the shit. Trump is full of shit, okay? 5. He's completely against science and the scientists who has spent their entire life studying science and knows what needs to be done to help this pandemic. But instead of him choosing to help this pandemic, he's choosing to continue to make a mockery of the pandemic because he don't care about the American people. He don't care about his family. The only person Trump cares about is his fucking self. He is a self-absorbed narcissist, okay? And one of my main issues with him is fake news. Whenever any truth come out about him, it's always fake news. I have a problem with him and his supporters attempting to normalizing fiction over facts. This president is delusional. He growing up, my granddad used to have a lot of talks with us about racism in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the civil rights movement, and everything like that. And although it made me emotional, I never really knew what he felt like until Trump became my president. And now, out of nowhere, I had to experience hate. Trump, to the African American community, if you are white, your experience with Trump will be completely different. I promise you. Trump has been to African Americans what Hitler was to Jews. And although it's sad for anybody to lose their job, I'm absolutely thrilled that this fool time is up.